All right, let's talk about one of the most powerful and, honestly, paralyzing phrases we ever tell ourselves. I can't. But what if I told you that feeling wasn't a stop sign at all? What if it was actually a map, pointing you exactly where you need to go next?
Does that sound familiar? Yeah, it's that voice. You know the one. That little whisper in the back of your head that shows up right when you're about to try something new, something big, something scary. It's a totally universal experience, and today we're going to give it a name.
Let's just call it the saboteur. See, giving this voice a name is the first step, because it's a whole lot easier to argue with a saboteur than it is to argue with some vague feeling, right? This is that inner critic whose only job is to keep you safe, keep you small, and keep you exactly where you are. And here is the absolute key to all of this. That feeling of hitting a wall, that overwhelming sense of, oh, no way, I can't do this. It's an illusion. I know it feels incredibly real, like a solid brick wall, but it's just a mirage. It's something your saboteur builds to keep you from moving forward. You know, this isn't some new idea. It really makes me think of Eleanor Roosevelt, who pretty much built her legacy on this exact principle. When she said this, it wasn't just some nice, fluffy, inspirational quote. No, it was a directive. It was basically a survival guide. She understood that real, meaningful growth only ever happens on the other side of what we think is impossible. And this is where we flip the whole thing on its head. Instead of seeing all your cannots as limitations, what if you saw them as a compass? Seriously, that feeling of fear, of I'm not good enough, that's actually pointing directly at your next opportunity for growth. It's like a big flashing neon sign saying, hey, over here, this is the thing that's actually worth doing.
Now, I know this all sounds great in theory, but let's look at the proof. Does it actually work in the real world? We've got 3 really clear examples of people who faced their I can't head-on and treated it not as a barrier, but as a destination.
And of course, our first example has to be the woman who gave us that quote. Eleanor Roosevelt was famously deeply shy. She was terrified of public speaking, but she knew that the causes she believed in were way more important than her own comfort. So she did the very thing her saboteur screamed that she couldn't do, and she became one of the most powerful and respected voices of the entire 20th century.
Or let's take a look at Sarah, a 45-year-old accountant who just felt totally stuck. Her real dream was landscape design, but her saboteur had this perfect excuse ready to go. You can't start over now, you're too old. But she decided to test that belief. She didn't quit her job, she just started with one single night class. Turns out, her I can't had nothing to do with her actual ability. It was all about her ego being afraid of being a beginner again. And this isn't just a mental game. Think about a marathon runner hitting the wall. Every single muscle is screaming, stop. That feeling of I cannot take another step is so real, it's physical. But finishing that race, pushing through, that's not just about physical talent. It's a conscious choice to tell the saboteur you're wrong. Okay, so we've seen the proof, we get the concept. But how do we actually do it? Like, what do I do tomorrow when that voice shows up? So let's get into the playbook, the practical, actionable steps you can start using today.
It really just boils down to 3 manageable steps. First, we're going to audit our self-imposed limits. Then we're going to identify the lie that's holding them up. And finally, we're going to take small, strategic steps to dismantle them. This is how you make the impossible feel, well, possible.
Okay, first things first. You have to get these cannots out of your head and onto a piece of paper where you can actually look at them. So grab a notepad, open the Notes app on your phone, whatever. What have you been telling yourself? I can't ask for that promotion. I can't run a 5K. I can't have that tough conversation. Just write 3 of them down. And really, no judgment here. Now, look at that list. This next step is absolutely crucial. You have to learn to tell the difference between a genuine physical impossibility and a psychological lie. For example, you can't fly by flapping your arms. That's physics, that's real. But I can't start a new career, or I can't speak up at meetings, is that a law of nature? Nope, that's a story. That's a lie that your saboteur made up. And that brings us to the final step. Look, you don't have to go out and conquer your biggest fear tomorrow. That's not the point. The goal is to microdose the discomfort. So if you are afraid to speak up in meetings, don't try to give a 10-minute presentation. Your goal for the next meeting is just to ask one single question. That's it. You're still doing the scary thing, but you're doing it in a tiny, manageable dose.
So ultimately, this all comes down to a choice.
a choice you actually make every single day. And when you understand this choice, it completely redefines where you think confidence actually comes from.
And this, right here, might be the most important takeaway of the whole thing. We get it completely backwards. We think we need to feel confident before we can do the hard thing. But the truth is, confidence is the reward you get after you do the hard thing. It is a side effect of taking action, not something you need to get started.
So at the end of the day, you have two paths. There's the path of comfort, where you listen to the saboteur and you stay put. It feels safe, sure, but it's stagnant. Or there's the path of growth. And yeah, that's the one that gives you that nervous, sick-to-your-stomach feeling that only comes from trying something new and scary. You have to remember this. Those two feelings, growth and comfort, they can't exist at the same time. It's impossible. So that feeling of discomfort, that's not a warning sign telling you to run away. It's the opposite. It is physical proof that you are moving, that you are stretching, that you are, in fact, growing.
So that's the question I want to leave you with. The next time you feel that "I can't" creeping in, and trust me, you will, which path are you going to choose? Growth or comfort? What's your move?